Hey everybody, David here, and welcome to the ASOG podcast. In this episode recorded at the Tools Conference, Lucas sits down with the founder of the Auto Shop Owners Group and the owner of Lonsdale Auto Works in Lonsdale, Minnesota, Scott Pelava. He's joined again by Tom Shearer of Shearer Sales and Service, as well as Corey Whisler, the owner of Blue Mountain Car Care in Newburg, Pennsylvania. Before we get started, if you're on YouTube, make sure that you're subscribed. About half our views are from people that are unsubscribed, so if you like what you hear, a sub would be awesome. If you're listening to this on your favorite podcast listening app, make sure you have it set to automatically download the latest episode so you never miss an upload. And now, here we go.
Now, how many years have you been to this event? You come every year? How long you been involved with them?
Oh, yeah. Every year. 15 years.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, but not on the board or anything. Didn't serve,
right.
Just a member.
So, how has the event changed in the past few years? I mean, what have you seen change with the event?
Well, I definitely seen ups and downs.
Right.
I remember coming into an event in, 2007, 2008.
Right.
And going, where is everybody?
Right.
Yeah. But hasn't been like that since then.
Right.
Seems to be growing. And, but, the trainers is just, always every year.
Right.
Just seems to be better and better.
Right. Now, Tom, you're right from this area. Have you been to this event before?
I've not been up to here. I've been to an event in Grantville a few years back.
Okay.
And, very limited for my attendance to these.
Right. So, Tom, one of the things everybody in the group looks up to you. We all look up to you. You're like the golden standard of shop ownership.
The old guy.
Yeah, the old guy, Tom Shearer. Everybody wants to be like Tom Shearer. How do we get so successful like you?
He looks a little like Mitch Snyder in his younger years.
He does.
Are you the second coming of Mitch?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it's my forgotten father.
So you're into a really successful, really nice shop right now. It's kind of cool because one of the things that I thought was neat is Adam, who was on the show yesterday, has taken kind of where you started with it all in one sense of the word. And now he's running with that location, starting, moving his shop there, buying that.
Right.
You've had a lot of experience in shop ownership and car sales, the whole 9 yards. Here we are, we're talking to a group of 5,500 shop owners. I know some of the good advice you've given me over the years. Mm-hmm. What's your message to these shop owners? What is something you would say to them that you've learned over the years that's probably the most pivotal thing that changed your dynamic, changed your world?
I'm going to say be open and willing to change. Hire a coach. Find a mentor.
Yeah.
And latch on and learn whatever you can.
Yeah.
And, along the way, there's going to be a lot of things that you're going to be uncomfortable with to do.
Yeah.
But you have to be willing to make that change to get to where you want to go.
Yeah. I think you're exactly right. And yesterday I said something and it really came from a video. And I'll post a link, or we'll get David to post a link when he gets on here. But there was a Brian Kite. He's a motivational speaker video. And one of the things Brian Kite said in this video is how does it feel when you do something you don't want to do? Like when you do something you're afraid to do, jump out of a plane, get up on stage and speak. How does it feel when you do that? Is it fun when you do it? No, it's not necessarily fun. But it's that push. It's that drive. It's that next level right? And unfortunately for shop owners, one of the things that holds them back, in my opinion, is they never take the jump. They never push. They never go to that next level because there's a level of fear involved. And I told you that last night. We were talking. I said, look, I wasn't going to raise my rates. I wasn't going to do the things that I was being told to do that made things better. I was resisting that change because I was afraid of the what ifs. I mean, if you're out of business, the what ifs don't make a damn. Right? If you don't have any money to pay your people, if you can't pay your bills and your family's starving, to hell with the what ifs.
Right. Well,
Right.
let's turn the what ifs around. What if I do make that change? What if I did make that extra, $10,000 a month?
Yeah.
In sales. What if I did move forward with some training to, better my service advisors or my
Right.
technicians?
Right. Well, I mean, think about that. I think the word's catastrophizing, right? We always look at the worst possible outcome as human beings. Sometimes we get caught in that loop where we're looking at the worst thing that could happen. We don't ever think of the positive things. We don't ever think of what could go right. We focus on what's wrong, what doesn't work.
My wife is a perpetual, I forgot the word now. She's always looking at the worst because she's afraid that if she looks at the positives, if something negative
She
happens, she'll be
listens to the
disappointed.
show, right?
No, she doesn't. She doesn't watch my city council meetings. She doesn't listen to me for anything.
She doesn't listen to you. She listens to me.
Well, maybe your private channel.
Oh,
No,
God.
but so she's one of those people. It's the pessimist. That's the word I was after. And she admits that, but a lot of people are like that. They don't want to look at what the potential good things are.
Yeah.
Because all the bad things they want to be. That's what they're worried about. They want to identify all the negatives, and they become fixated on all the bad things that can happen. They never look at what the good things are.
Well, I mean, I think as shop owners, in a lot of ways, we're exposed to that, right? We're exposed to the client that's worried about price. So we reflect that way on our prices. We're exposed to the technician who's worried about pay. So we reflect that on how we're paying them. We're exposed to negativity. We're exposed to challenges. And, that's one of the things that, I was talking about Brian Kite, and he talks about, it's that courage to overcome that. It's that courage to move past it. And that's when growth really happens. I've always said growth does not happen in your comfort zone, right? You've got to get out of where it's comfortable. You've got to move past that and say, look, this is super uncomfortable for me. But I mean, that's where things happen.
Right.
That's where your business changes. That's where your life changes. That's where your family's life changes. And I think by the time, and it's not always the case, but I think by the time we become shop owners, right, we have a family. We have people who depend on us, Absolutely. Right? Now it's not just about us anymore. It's about doing it for them and not just a legacy. Man, I don't know if y'all know this. The first scholarship winner that went to, was it Vision? I mean, they were talking about like we were deciding whether to buy food or diapers. Not like we need to buy food and diapers. Like we're trying to make a decision. Is it food or is it diapers?
And it was parts or diapers. Keep the shop going or keep the kids in diapers.
Yeah. I mean, that's tough, right? Especially when you know that it's just one little decision, one little tidbit of information that makes all the difference in the world.
One more trip up and you're done.
Yeah.
Both personally and professionally.
I've been there.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yep. And now, Tom, you're involved with the mastermind. Corey, I don't know if you know about our mastermind group. We've got a mastermind group.
I've heard of mastermind groups, but there's different ones.
Yeah. Well, so ASOG has a mastermind group, and really what that mastermind group does is it tries to create a channel to help people who could not get help elsewhere. These two guys are on the mastermind. I'm not on the mastermind, but that's really important, especially for those who are in that really, really tough spot.
Right.
To be able to help them. And I mean, so what has your experience been with the mastermind, Tom?
It's been rewarding for me to be able to share some of the knowledge that I've gained and experience over the years and see the help that we can give them and the results and the appreciation from them.
Right.
And it's very rewarding.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a neat experience to get to see it. And I think you bring up a really valid point, is that we help others. And when we're helping others is when we grow the most. Right. It's really hard to sit over here and call the kettle black when you're like, oh man, I'm still doing that.
Absolutely.
I mean, I know I get stuff out of every one of the meetings, even though we're there to help. I pull more stuff out of the meetings than, I'm sure Tom, everybody does it. This little tidbit here or there, that little morsel can make a huge difference that you'd never do. I learned more being a fly on the wall than I ever did asking questions.
Yeah, I agree with that. It really makes a big difference for me. Corey, tell us a little bit about your shop. How long you been a shop owner?
So, been a shop owner since 2000.
Right.
And, one-man band started, right?
Mm-hmm.
Started out in my dad's shop that he had in the 70s.
Right.
80s. And anyways, we started working it, and we needed some help. We saw at one point, we brought up about a coach, and we decided we definitely needed some help because, you guys were talking about facing your fears and stuff, right?
Right.
Well, I'm not sure that I know all you guys' backgrounds. Just kind of met you. So, I was coming from a technician, right?
Yeah.
I was a tech. I knew how to fix cars.
Right.
Not per se how to run a business.
Yeah.
I was just kind of going with it.
Right.
So then when I got some help through coaching, things started turning around. But you talk about facing some fears, like charging what they were saying. Listen, this is your numbers.
Right.
I didn't know my numbers.
Exactly.
And they're like,
you knew your sales, and that's all that mattered.
Exactly.
Right.
So, but the other thing I was thinking about when you guys were talking about it is, you read these war hero stories, right?
Yeah.
Every single one of them guys had fears.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
they knew what needed to be done.
Right.
So they went out and they still did it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Even though for them, it was going to cost them their life, possibly.
Right.
So, but anyways, we've been, growing. It was just me, hired on a guy and just started to expand. And here in the last 2 years, we just expanded. We tripled in size.
Really?
Nice. We had a building come available. It was a big rig shop.
Oh, wow.
And, where we were at, we talked about building, and it was just a struggle with the township that we were in and everything with building codes and all kinds of stuff. So this building opened up and for sale, and it was unbelievable. I had my eye on it for a while.
Right.
Finally, they put it up on the market, and I was like, oh man, like a godsend.
It came together.
Now, get this though, right? It was right during COVID, right before COVID. So we were in there like 6 months.
Right.
And then everything just stopped.
Oh man.
And we had a coach.
Right.
And he's like, this is what you need to do.
Right.
And he gave us a game plan to do it. And I was like, man, I don't know about this.
Right.
I don't know. I want to do it. But I was like, the phone was not ringing. So it was that push,
Yeah.
You need somebody to help, just to help you through a coach.
Exactly.
Just like playing on a football team or whatever,
Yeah, you need some guidance, and you need that encouragement. And
absolutely.
I don't know if y'all know this. Tom and I use the same coach, and one of the interesting things about that is that we were talking about it at dinner last night. He went out and he took all of these people who were super uncomfortable on video. Have you seen this, Tom?
I've heard a little bit about it, but I haven't seen it.
Like, these people are super uncomfortable on video, like really uptight, really nervous, really, and so he starts them very gently, right? And so all of you who No, I'm talking about you. Listen up. So he goes to him and he says, look, you guys keep talking about you're going to make videos, and videos are powerful in business, right? I mean, they are really powerful marketing tools. When the owner's making videos and he's on social media, he's part of the community. And so he starts like getting them to make these little tidbit videos just for that group, just where they're comfortable. And all of a sudden they realized it's not so bad. It's not fun. Yeah, it's not going to kill you. You're going to make it. You're going to be okay. Yeah. And seeing them begin to like open up to that concept, open up to that idea, just because somebody nudged them a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And look, one of the things we always talk about with this show is that we're not like a super altruistic view, right? The reality is we all still have struggles. We all still have fights. We all have things that go wrong in our shop, right? Except for Tom. I'm trying to figure
Sure.
It's all unicorns and rainbows.
No. Wait a minute. That's a different kind of shop.
Speaking of fights, I just got a message from my wife. She is listening.
Oh.
Yeah.
She likes the podcast.
Yeah, she's criticizing everything I just said about her. And
yeah.
Sorry, dear. You know I'm joking around.
She listens to the ASOG podcast.
That's where it ends.
Mrs. Scott, it's okay. Yeah. My wife, my wife and I have a very good, we mesh well together because I'm the guy who is just thinking of everything under the sun.
That you could do wrong to get chastised for.
Yeah. And, Christy is the one that will question me, are you sure? And she kind of holds me back sometimes to
good balance,
not in a bad way, but makes me think about things, and it works out really well. So nothing wrong with that.
I'm teasing. My wife is really good about this stuff, but she is that eternal pessimist, and we're trying to get her past that too, to look at the good. So moving on.
My wife is very much the same way. She balances me out. She's that counter. And to these guys who are out here single, we always hear about couples running a shop together. Working together as a couple is hard. It really is. And it's a set of challenges you have to overcome. But man, to these single guys and gals out here running a shop, boys, you better have you a coach. You better have somebody that's got a different view than you do. That is an important thing. I think if there's anything through this journey I've been on, it's having other people that have a different perspective of my operation, of what's going on in my life than what I do. Because I realize now how easy it is for my perspective to be short-sighted, right? It ends like right here, right at the end of my nose, And it's super easy to get caught in a situation where, oh man, I probably did not make the right decision, and somebody else could have easily looked at you and said, oh, you shouldn't do that. Right? Like I run stuff by Rick, I run stuff by Dutch, I run stuff by David, I run stuff by all my friends. And occasionally I'll have this idea that I think is clear cut. Man, that's right where it is. And then I'll ask somebody and they're like, why in the hell would you do that? Oh, well, what do you mean? Well, what about this, this, and this? Oh, I didn't ever think of that. I mean, those are big. And yesterday we were talking a little bit about competition. And I think looking back now, I recognize that for a while, I was so worried about competition. I was so worried about maybe it wasn't even competition. I was worried about what other people would think of me if I shared that or I said that and it was a stupid comment or whatever it was. Now I look back and think, man, think of the trouble I could have saved myself. Like what if I'd have just talked to him about that? That would have probably been a good thing. But so, Tom, what's the vision for the next couple of years?
I'm kind of undecided at this point. It's obviously want to continue to grow our business. We've been very lucky. We have a really good team, and they make me look good every day. So thank you. But, it's continue to work on that. Have some different areas that I'm contemplating going, whether that's to continue to maybe expand to another location,
right?
Or kind of take a step back from the business, keep it running, and just monitor and maybe go into the mentoring side of things.
Right.
So I'm a little bit, I have not chosen that path yet.
I got you. So, we talk about challenges. You've still got them. Mm-hmm. What are the biggest challenges you face right now? I mean, I'm not just joking. I really mean it. You're probably one of the most successful shop owners I've ever met, ever known, ever worked with. What challenges do you face today that the other shop owners need to hear about?
First of all, thank you. I don't really see myself in that light, but I appreciate that. There's challenges everywhere. Staff, like I said, I have a really good team working with us, and I'm really lucky.
Right.
I'm looking to grow my staff in a different way rather than just get them to know their job. I'm looking to change and adjust on our culture.
Right.
And that's been a little bit of a challenge, because there's just some people that have a real hard time with that change.
Yeah.
And they don't see the big picture. And so I've struggles on that end there. The running into the similar problems that everybody's going to have, marketing. What do we do to keep cars coming in?
Right.
What do we do to keep the right cars coming in and the right client? Things like that.
Well, and that's something that's important to bring up is because marketing shifts so quickly now.
Absolutely.
Right? I've got a good friend, Justin, who does a ton of marketing and things like that. And we were talking recently how he's over here switching to TikTok, right? And he's conventionally been on Instagram. He's been on Facebook. And I know a lot of shop owners who are just now making it to Facebook. Right. And so like now you're thinking about Instagram, you're thinking about TikTok, you're thinking about these other methods, man. And like even me, like I post stuff all the time and I'm over here like, I don't know how this works. This does not work like I think it should. and like, who am I, am I sure I want to send this out? Like, who am I reaching with this? But our clientele is changing, right? Our demographic has to change. And then you throw in the mix something like COVID. You change the dynamic of what we're doing just through something like that. Man, you've got to stay on top of it. Marketing can be a tremendous challenge. And keeping the cars come in, look, I mean, you've got a super successful shop. You've got a big shop, and you brought something up a few minutes ago that, hey, COVID hit, and it's like, whoa, this is not good. Right. And that can be scary. Tell us what you did. I mean, what did you do differently that started the phone ringing again?
Well, one of the things, and I was like, man, that just seemed desperate. He told me, pick up the phone, call him.
Yeah.
Call him personally because a lot of them were home, right? They were sitting at home because they couldn't go they weren't essential like we were.
Right.
And he basically said, ask them how they're doing.
Right.
And, I wasn't asking for an appointment or anything.
Yeah.
I was just saying, hey, everybody healthy, safe, how are we doing?
Right.
And, at the end of the conversation, however it might, usually wasn't, hey, I'm busy, let me alone. We were on for a couple minutes anyways.
Yeah.
And then I'd be like, all right, we'll take care, stay safe and all that. And I'd be like, oh, hey, by the way.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd be like, well, that's not what I called for, right?
Right.
And then the other thing, because everybody's sitting at home, definitely the fear factor again with Facebook and getting in front of the camera. Yeah. My son actually works for me at the front counter.
Right. So he got stuffed with
21,
that job.
And I'm like, guess what? Go for it. And so he started doing a mail run every day, just walking out, getting the mail. And everybody started, clicking on it, watching it, commenting about it.
That's a really good idea.
And it was great. The phone was ringing. So it really got things going for us.
And that's so interesting you say that because, Tom, you use Sam to do all your videos, don't you?
That's exactly it. Yeah.
I think it can be a little scary, right? And I remember like when I first started this journey, even things like Google My Business, I don't want to put myself out there. What if somebody leaves me a bad review? What if this happens? What if that happens? Like each one of
ifs keep coming back.
I know, right? But like each one of those little steps you take, whether it's marketing your business and being out there in front of the community, you know, and I've always worried, like, what if, you know, people make fun of me or this or that? And I'll never forget, you know, I told my coach one time, I said, hey, it's dropped off. I think that, you know, all of our clients are just this. And he said, oh, so they all went and got together and sat at a coffee shop and talked about you. That only seems slightly self-centered. I'm like, you know, I had never thought of that. And so like when things happen in the shop, when business drops off, it's usually us, right? It usually all comes back to right here because they're not sitting around talking about us, right? They're not thinking about us. So, I mean, and you know, the really cool thing is, and I had never thought about this until it started getting brought up, we're in a fairly recession-proof business. And you know, I was talking to somebody the other day and I said, name to me all of the industries that are recession proof. And he said, healthcare and food and auto repair. I'm like, okay, why? And he said, well, you know, healthcare, you got to have that or you're going to die. Food, you got to have that. And he said, you know, yeah, I guess cars really are, because if something goes wrong, right? If your car breaks, you're not going to go buy a new one in a recession. Mm-hmm. You're going to fix the one you've got. So when things slow down, we typically do really well. But you know what I see shop owner after shop owner after shop owner do? They get afraid. They retract. They pull back that marketing. Oh my gosh, the dollars aren't coming in. You know, I've learned like that's a fear factor to me. I just go on Google AdWords and I slide the slider all the way to the other end. Like, you know, push it to the max. And like a key or a way to push it. T-Tech says there's no such thing as dropping off. But you know, you push and you really have got to feed the advertising, the marketing, and keep things up when it starts to slow down like that. What's been the most effective marketing for you, Tom?
The most effective is Google.
Yeah.
By far.
Yeah, I agree. 110%. 110%. Google reviews, Google AdWords. Like if you do it yourself, I'm not a big proponent of paying somebody to do it. I do all mine myself. And so like, you know, David's always yelling at me, 60, 90, maybe 30. That's the only way marketing works. And what I mean by that is he's always like, look, if you're not marketing 60 to 90 days out, it's going to be 60 to 90 days before it works. It's not going to work right now. You need to be planning for it way out. You need to be pushing way out. And shop owners typically wait until the last minute. Like, oh, it's slow. I got to go. So
September 30th, they're advertising that it's October is a National Car Care Month. The day before, that's when the ad comes out. Really?
Yeah.
You know, I'm guilty.
Yeah.
Me too.
Now,
Me
I
too.
don't know if that's T-Tech or T-Lec. And he comments, he says, this is an excellent industry to be in. Don't even need advertising. Your customers do all the advertising for you. And that's very true, right? That's what we're saying. Google reviews is big, right?
Yep.
Now, I will say that when the shop is truly productive, right? If you're really pushing the shop and it's doing what it's supposed to be doing, there's definitely times, right, that you need to do marketing. I see a lot of folks say, you don't have to market. You don't have to market. You do. I mean, especially if you're a big shop and you're running some volume through the shop, you have to market. There's no way around it. I just don't see it's possible.
I think a lot of shop owners confuse marketing for running specials.
Yeah.
Two
That's
totally
true.
different things. I don't run any specials in my shop.
Right.
But we, you know, our marketing is, you know, lots of different ways, whether it's Google, Facebook, whatever. We don't do traditional media because where I am, there isn't any traditional media. We got a local newspaper nobody reads, and we have a local radio station that plays polka. Otherwise, you know, I can't afford the big community stuff or the big city stuff because I'm not marketing to the entire Minneapolis, St. Paul area.
Right.
But local marketing, whatever it is having your name out there, having people see it.
Yeah.
You know,
I really think though you should do something with that polka station.
Yeah.
You can come up with some type of polka song, some kind of little riff for the company.
Yeah.
He could
You
dress
can do
up.
it. Absolutely.
He could dress up.
Yeah. So
Polka dot dress.
Oh,
I think a big thing with the marketing as well, when they say, not that, these guys that don't do any marketing, kudos to you, but you're probably taking anything and everything that you can to come in the door.
Right.
And, who's your ideal client? Who do you really want to work
Yes.
with and work for? That's where your marketing comes into play. I don't
Right.
want everybody. I want this specific type of person, with a
Exactly.
specific type of car. And
Exactly.
that's where that comes real important.
yeah. And it's very interesting because you can steer what's in the shop with your marketing, and you can move and groove, if you will. You can move around that, and you're 100% on the money. That discovery conversation, I think that's the most powerful thing I've ever learned, is have a discovery conversation. Understand, is this client a good client for the shop? Right? I don't want people who don't want a properly repaired automobile in my shop. And it's not that I have a problem with those people. It's not that I don't want the best for them. It's just the reality is we don't improperly repair automobiles. That's not what I'm in the business of doing. Right? So sorry, this isn't the shop for you. And we talk about it from time to time that, McDonald's sells cheeseburgers. The steakhouse down the road sells steaks. If you want a cheeseburger, go to McDonald's. If you want a steak, go to the steakhouse. I don't understand why we look at auto repair like it's different than that. Like why we see it differently. Because you don't go to McDonald's and expect to pay steak prices for a cheeseburger, and you don't go to the steakhouse and expect to pay McDonald's prices for a steak. Right? I mean, that seems a little ridiculous. And I know there are restaurants that cook your food. The other big thing is you don't go to a freaking restaurant and take your steak in there and say, "Will you cook this for me?" That just seems that's asinine, right?
Did you try it lately?
No, that's
Just give it a shot one day to see how it works. Maybe
I'd
take the podcast on a little.
that's a really good idea.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I'll be the cameraman and you take the steak.
Oh, I'm that guy.
Well, you brought it up, so in that,
It'll be a Costco steak. It'll be
Yeah.
the cheapest one you got.
Well, and in saying that, something that something that comes up when you get to that conversation is that you go in there, and how many people come into our shops and expect us to do something for free? Will you test it for free? Will you and look, I don't think you have to tolerate that, but I mean, where would do any of you guys go somewhere and expect not to pay something? Like, I mean, I don't even go to the convenience store and use the bathroom without expecting to pay something. I'm like, I need to buy a drink now.
You use their facilities.
That's right.
Yeah. So I mean, like, Tom, how do we counter that? How do we, as an industry as a whole, right? We've definitely got some work to do.
Right.
And you've got those shops that are not making that shift, that growth. What do you say to that shop owner that's not transitioned into that? What do you say to the shop owner that's not saying, okay, it's time to grow. It's time to discover the right client, the avatar for my business. What do you say to them?
Come on, man, let's go.
That you're screwing it up for the rest of us.
Yeah. But I mean, that's it's a very good good discussion. How do you get it across to them? You got to get to them first.
Yeah.
So to get to them, that's through our associations, through ASOG, and train them.
Yeah.
Just like we have with our customers. When our customers want that for free,
Right.
we have a conversation and we educate them on
Right.
what's proper practice and everything, and what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. And maybe we need to take that to these shops that are not willing to make that change.
I agree. I take it back to, we've had some conversations on the podcast about addiction. I almost take it back to addiction, right? And I've talked to Rick about this before, and Rick said, I know shop owners that are addicted to their problems. They won't let the problems go. They're more obsessed with their problems than they are finding the solution. Mm-hmm. And I think it could even be easy to get that way in some instances, right? That you get caught up on your problems and you never focus on the solution. You're just so worried about that problem. right? That it becomes your whole world, your whole focus, and you don't know what you're going to do if you solve it because you don't have anything to focus on. But I know for me personally, it kind of took hitting rock bottom, right? I mean, it really took. My story was simple. I went to an event. I was going to become a technician because I was tired of doing everything, cleaning the toilets, being the service advisor, working on all the cars, writing the bills, collecting the money, doing the bookkeeping, doing everything myself. And eventually I said, I can't do this. I'm going to go get a job as a technician. And I went to a training class and somebody said, hey, you should probably take a management class. You're a shop owner. Why are you taking technical? Right? Didn't even know there was management training out there. And all it took was 2 classes. And I always tell the story, Malin Newton was the first class.
Oh, no kidding.
And I sat through that first class and I thought, oh man, customer service doesn't have anything to do with how I feel about something. It's how they feel.
Did you feel defeated because you were convinced you were going to go work for someone else, and your mind was changed? Was there a little bit of that where you just went, I wanted to be the best tech out there, go work for somebody else, and now you've convinced me different? Or were you energized by it?
I was energized.
Okay.
Right. I was energized because I realized that there was a series of operational methods that would work. Right. And I never thought about the fact that I had spent the last 10 years trying to reinvent the wheel. I was trying to do it my way. I was trying to do it from the technician's seat. And, you've always heard that term of phrase that you can't steer a ship from the engine room. You can't steer a repair shop from under the hood of a car. And the same job that makes you a good technician is not the same set of skills that's going to make you a good business owner.
Right.
I can promise you that. Right? You can be the best technician in the world and run your shop slapping the ground. I mean, that does not make you a good shop owner. Mm-hmm. It doesn't even as a matter of fact, it probably predisposes you to bad habits that will run you in the ground. Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, I'm so envious of Adam Rath. Because he's never been a technician. He's like, the car's broken, we'll fix it. Oh, that's expensive? Oh, I didn't. Okay. Right. I sold medical equipment,
And that was really expensive.
I know, right? That MRI machine was like $5 million. Shoot, $30,000 for a repair? Cool. Send him the bill, right? Never even crossed his mind. And so that was one of the things, and Monique was here earlier. We talked about that. Is like our industry is way behind the rest. Like we're not advancing at the speed or the level that others have advanced at. I think it's your fault, Scott Pelava.
Usually is, unless I ask my wife. Yeah, it's my fault.
She is going to kill me for letting you on the podcast. You know that, right?
Yep.
He has a very sweet wife. She's a lovely lady,
she
but
really is.
I don't know how she got stuck with this jackass. You want to tell that story? I mean,
it's not for the money.
You spent all that. You spent all that.
Well, I think you had a good point. I mean, you said you had to come here and listen, to a training event. It wasn't here,
right.
But that is so important because I remember just sitting here listening to the conversation.
Right.
Just one thing the trainer told me one time.
Yeah.
And it was as simple as you're thinking with your own wallet.
Amen. Absolutely.
It's a customer's wallet. Let them decide. You
That's
present what
it. You
have, the findings.
Exactly.
And I let them come up with their own.
Well, think of it, I've always thought of it after I heard that and I really put some thought into that comment. Mm-hmm. You were taking the opportunity for them to become educated and the opportunity for them to make a decision away.
Correct.
And we felt like we were doing what was right for them. Right?
Correct.
And the reality was we weren't. We weren't being advocates for our client. We weren't giving them the full picture. We weren't giving them the information they needed to ensure that the automobile is properly repaired or repaired the way they wanted it. Mm-hmm. Right? Correct. We get so focused on price. And I tell this story. I had 2 clients come from one shop. And they came to me and they said, I just had my car fixed and it's doing this. We looked at it and the first one had brake pads put on it on rotors that were completely tore up. I mean, they like had 1/4-inch grooves in it. And I called the other shop and I was like, what in the world were you doing? Like, you saw those were metal to metal, right? He's like, yeah, but I know they were going to fuss about the price if I put rotors on it. What are you talking about? Your job as a professional is to properly repair the automobile. That's the extent of your job.
Right.
And you let them dictate your process? You let them decide how you're going to repair the vehicle?
But he didn't even let them decide. He made a decision on what he thought was going to happen.
Exactly.
And so now they're even more upset because they might not have been happy about the price, but they would have done it properly.
Exactly. I mean, that car passes my wife. That car passes my children. Mm-hmm. God,
and it passes everything because it can't stop.
That's a good point.
There you go. Again, I think it comes down to it was a little bit of a fear for him.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I can't tell him it needs rotors, pads, all this work.
We become obsessed in fear, right? That's what anxiety is. We become obsessed in fear. We become so obsessed. We focus on the what if of the scenario to the point that it becomes overwhelming. Right? So instead of facing the fear, we lay down and you know what we get? We get more scenarios that create more fear. It's a big bad circle. Eventually we've got to grow out of that. Right? Tom, what's your message to shop owners? Like how are we going to get them to grow out of that? I know you've said how they can grow out of it, but how do we get them moving in that direction? You're in the mastermind group. Mm-hmm. You see these guys coming in there all the time. You talk to them all the time and you say, look, here's the pathway to do it. It's not just as easy as telling them to do it, is it?
No, it's not that easy. And just to go back to what we were all just talking about was, and I know you've heard this before from Rick, but we're prejudging that client when he comes in the door. He's not going to buy the rotors.
Right.
That's not your decision to make. I didn't buy it. I didn't build it. I didn't break it. Right. But I can certainly fix it. And I'm going to present you the proper way to do that.
Exactly.
So, a big message is stop prejudging.
Yeah.
Stop making those decisions for your customer. That's not your decision to make.
Exactly.
You need to present everything. You need to take the time and do a proper evaluation, inspection, DVI, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Take the time and do that. Don't tell me you're too busy fixing all the hard cars that you don't have time to do that evaluation. You're doing a disservice to your client, to your customer. So inspect that car, present that stuff, talk to them, and come up with a plan.
Right. Exactly.
And that's going to help you grow right there, that one thing.
Yeah. You're so right. And I just explained to my staff before I left, I said, listen, when you're talking about that evaluation, the way that I explain it to my clients is this. It's very, very simple. Mr. Client, I'm going to evaluate your car. We're going to document it with pictures, videos, and notes from the technician. It'll be like you're in the bay with that technician. Now, Mr. Client, I'm going to create an estimate for each one of those things. I'm going to prioritize it top to bottom. That does not mean they all need to be done today, but I do feel it is my responsibility as a professional to provide you with a clear picture of the condition of your automobile. That's my job. That's what you pay me to do.
Right.
Right? And yet, we see shop after shop after shop who somehow equates that with ripping them off.
Right.
Right? They look at that and say, if you do that, you're trying to sell stuff they don't need. No, I'm trying to paint a picture of the automobile. Now, I remember this. I had a situation one time, and I'll tell you straight up, I fixed a car. We made a recommendation to fix, I think it was a rear differential. And then a few months later, that car came back and it needed a bunch of front end repairs. And he said, and I will never forget this, Lucas, if I had known that work needed to be done, I would have never put that rear differential in it. Now, he asked me to put the rear differential in it. He didn't ask me to check that front end out. Mm-hmm. And it was the realization. He didn't know. He didn't know what condition the car was in. He didn't know anything about the car. He just knew the rear differential was bad, and he thought the only thing that an auto mechanic does is what I tell them to do because that's what I need done. I understand that. But if you're working with a professional shop, it's their job to paint you a complete image of the condition of the automobile. Has nothing to do with selling you something.
Right.
I always make the analogy, when you go into the doctor, if my elbow hurts, they still look in my eyes, take my temperature, look at my ears. They're doing all that stuff. It's a standard,
Yeah. The doctor analogy. I drive my service advisors crazy with this because they're like, you can say that. We can't say that. And I'll tell them, look, when I'm talking about my testing, I'll explain, here's how we do this. Our level 1 will determine up to 90% of all causes or cases of your concern. The other 10% of the time, we do need to escalate to a level 2. Very much like the doctor's office. You go in and your arms are braids and you got a bruise and it's all bloody and they say, hey, I think you broke your arm, but I need to do an x-ray to determine what the proper repair to correct the concern is. The only difference is I'm going to be nice. I'm not like the doctor. I'm going to tell you how much it is up front. Right? And they're like, I can't say that. Why not? I just said it,
The other one I love is when that I've been using for years is when people ask how much is it to fix it? I've got a noise. How much is it to fix this noise? Well, what you've effectively done is called me and asked me, if I was your doctor, I have a headache. How much to fix my headache? Well, until we do some testing, we don't know if you're just stressed out, you need a couple ibuprofen, maybe a glass of wine and a bubble bath, or you've got a golf ball sized tumor in your head.
Right. You don't know.
Do you want us to just, we'll just price it out for cutting the top of your head off and going rooting around.
Yeah.
When really you just need a good night's sleep. We don't know that, Oh, yeah, I get it now. I get it. There's too many unknowns.
Yeah, there really is. And even I use the doctor analogy a lot for a lot of different things. And one of the things that I always kind of get looks for when I'm giving those analogies is they'll come in and they'll say, do I have to do both calipers and both front rotors? Would you go to the doctor and tell them you only wanted that one part of the knee replacement? You just want can I just get the ball? I don't need the socket. It's not completely degraded yet. No, he's a professional. And would you still trust the doctor if he said yes? Me personally, if he's going to let me run the show, probably not.
A la carte surgery.
Yeah.
There's a new business model.
I mean, seriously, does that make any sense at all? And so coming full circle, we compare our businesses to our business. Have we ever thought about slowing down and comparing it to how the rest of the world does business? Come on now. I mean, we're really shooting ourselves in the foot in a lot of ways because we're, and I know you know exactly where I'm going with this. We can't let clients dictate our process.
Right.
When you let a client dictate your process, you have lost utter and complete control of your business. Mm-hmm. And when they come in and they start telling you when they want it done and what they expect and how no, that's not how any of this works. We don't do that. Right. And yesterday I shared a story. When I was at Ratchet and Rich, there was a mistake in the shop. And so the client's saying, hey, I need my car. 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 And instead of saying, I'm sorry, your car's not done yet, they said, okay, why the hell did you do that? Why? It's not done. Right. And it was done. It still had something we needed to work through. And they gave the customer the car back because the number one thing was keeping the client happy. They said, have you lost your effing minds? No, the number one thing we do, the desired outcome, is a properly repaired automobile.
Right.
Has nothing to do with what the client wants. Of course, we want to serve them at a high level, of course, but it's our job to take their expectation and match it back down with reality. Right? When I go to the doctor and I say I don't feel good, it's not my job to tell him, well, I don't feel good and I want this, 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 and this. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense, does it? Right. It's just not how it works. Somebody's knocking on the door. Scott, are you going to open the door?
I'm going to go check on the door.
Who's the special visitor we got?
I don't know. We're going to find out. It's not. If it's David Roman, I'm leaving. I quit.
Put the camera on and the mic.
Let's see who it is. What? What do we do? You might as well just come in here and talk. We're not that serious.
We're going to lunch.
Lunch.
What'd you make us, Brett?
Are we going to the steakhouse?
No, I don't have no beer.
Oh, okay. What's up? Everybody, Brett's back. You might as well just sit in Tom's lap.
We can share this guy.
That's it. So what do you think?
I think we had a great time.
We're wrapping up the event.
Yeah. I think the conversations I've had with people, they had a good time.
Right.
Friendly and looking forward to next year.
I think so.
Growth.
Yep.
Growth for next year.
What are we going to do to get this thing off the ground? Get this thing.
It's going to take a conglomerated effort.
Yep.
Spreading the word.
I think my biggest message to associations. So I'm not afraid to say this, right? associations all over the country are dying, right? They're being sucked up by other associations. It seems like there's less activity than there's ever been before. As part of IGONC or ASTA now, there was a period where that organization did that. And you know how it changed? It wasn't one person. It wasn't the marketing. It was the members getting involved and being active. It was the board members. And it was bringing new board members in with new ideas. It was bringing young board members in and seeing something different than they've ever seen before. And you know what? We're talking about fear. We're talking about not being willing to make some decisions. It takes jumping a little bit. You know what I mean?
It takes standing on the end of that cliff.
That's it.
And
exactly
take
right.
The jump.
That's exactly right. Well, guys, thank you so much for being here. We're going to wrap it up.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks
All
for
right,
having
guys.
us.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Thanks for having us.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode of the ASOG podcast. If you'd like to catch these episodes early, you can do so by becoming a patron. Just go to asog.site and click on the Become a Patron Now button. Becoming a patron helps support the show, gets you several perks, and is tax deductible. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast and on YouTube so you don't miss any of our upcoming episodes. And as always, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, shoot me an email. My email address is david@asog.site. That's david@asog.site. Until next time.